A good game needs a good hub, and Garden Warfare 2's Backyard Battleground is the gold standard. Rich with a bounty of activities for you and your friends to spend hours doing and so many secrets to uncover, surely there is no way for Battle for Neighborville to fumble it, right? Oh, an amusement park with uninspired puzzles and acts as the breeding grounds for toxic spawn campers. I wonder where it went wrong. I might as well start with the presentation of the two hubs. Between the Backyard Battleground and Giddy Park, the Backyard unsurprisingly clears the competition. Right away upon starting the game, Garden Warfare 2 makes sure that you're up to speed. You just completed the initial escape sequence and were rescued by Crazy Dave, and about to find your new home. This is perfect. You're a fish out of water. Or, I guess, a plant out of its pot. And Crazy Dave can freely exposit to you that this is his house, and your backyard. But most importantly, he mentions that the zombies moved in next door, which gives the battleground a reason to be there. You know that I'm a stickler for lore in these games, but something as simple as a throwaway line does wonders to establish the world you're in. Because of course Zomboss would want to build a base to replenish his army in a strategic spot close to Dave's. Beneath the absurdity of the situation as a whole, these expectations help ground you and make the situation a lot more believable. And what's in store for Battle for Neighborville? There is no real introduction. Major Sweetie flies a plane carrying a banner saying that Neighborville is under lockdown due to the zombie invasion, and the camera pans down to a new place called Giddy Park. That's neat, but what? Oh, we're moving on already. Zomboss HQ, but why is it next to an amusement... Dave Manor, huh? What's this amusement park doing between the bases for the plants and zombies? Doesn't that just feel a little out of place? And to top it off, the game provides no explanation, as you're immediately whisked away to Major Sweetie, who probably needs therapy. The loading screen just says, "I'm the hub world, and you gotta deal with it!" It just feels weird to go from a perfectly fine battlefield to a random carnival. Why change what proved to work so well for this? Even from the way you get to Giddy Park, which is super disjointed with the launch pads, it almost feels like this was going to be a Team Vanquish map, but the devs realized that they needed a hub world and pasted it between Crazy Dave's and Zomboss's bases at the last minute. I could excuse this if it was a zany Plants vs. Zombies-ified theme park, but it isn't. The Backyard made it absolutely certain that the zombies controlled half of it. As once you enter their side, the sky turns purple, the buildings are a lot less well kept, and it has an overall sense of eerie dinginess which reminds you of the ongoing zombie apocalypse. Even the plants side has that level of refinement. While it doesn't have all of the zombie decor in it, it still has that iconic PvZ identity. You can spot famous propaganda turned into parodies starring PvZ characters, sandbags being bags of fertilizer, while barbed wire is actually thorny rosevine. All of those details are a labor of love from the devs of the game who truly cared about the project they were giving to the community as a sequel to Garden Warfare 1's magnificence. And then we have the other side of things. Giddy Park is just an amusement park. Outside of one statue of Crazy Dave's relatives and a handful of plushies imported from Garden Warfare 2, nothing about it screams Plants vs. Zombies. Why not do what the Backyard did and have the zombie side of the park be completely trashed? With the rides looking like they barely work anymore, paint chipped and garbage spilled all over the ground. A little bit of visual storytelling can go a long way. And you know how those small details about the posters and props in the Backyard? They don't exactly have that in Giddy Park either. The setups there are all adverts for the park, but they don't have anything going for them. The free-for-all in the title could be turned into a joke about how zombies need to pay extra for admission or something, or if brains are not available at the concession stand. You know what? I'll make a better poster right now. Watch this. Just like that. Didn't take much, but those small details just add so much more life to the park and make it feel like it belongs in the PvZ universe. Now let's move on to the map design for the hubs. The backyard is gigantic. It has the main backyard in addition to the suburbs, the boardwalk, and sewers. A lot of the spots feel like challenges to what you think you can accomplish for your characters, and not so much strategic PvP spots. And from time to time, you can play PvP in this mode. You can invite friends over, or just recently, it was a map in Capture the Taco. If it was a regular Team Vanquish map though, it'd probably be awful, but the devs were smart in incorporating it in the spots where it can shine. Most of the map's verticality comes from the buildings off to the side, and the town hall, although it has the sewers which go deep underground and can allow for some unique fights. The delivery missions probably do the best job at showcasing just how far you can push the limits of the map and where you can go with your characters, and it's great. The main thing I want to get out of the way about Giddy Park is that it was designed with PvP in mind, so it has a bit of extra depth that can help spruce up a battle. It's an almost perfect square in shape, which can be divided into 4 quadrants: the plant spawn, the zombie spawn, the gnome area, and the mini hedge maze. I don't really know what else to call it. For a map as PvP oriented as Giddy Park is, they really flubbed it when it comes to how you get to it. The 2 spawns for that area are awful. There's only 1 entry point per team, funneled in by the launch pads from the bases. This already does enough to make it super easy to spawn camp, but they also decided that there should be a conveniently placed vantage point in the form of the 2 rides that give the camping team easy access to high ground. So if your team is being relentlessly farmed, simply escaping spawn to begin with is an unnecessary challenge. And then there's Gnome Power, but I'll get back to that. Giving credit where credit is due, I do like the fact that the rest of the map has multiple levels of verticality to it, so characters with good vertical movement abilities can make the most of it. The main issue is just the big rides near spawn. Like if the Ferris wheel was situated at the center of the map instead of right next to the plant spawn, I doubt it would be nearly as big of a problem. The map is also a lot smaller, which leaves little room for... And now we're at the main reason why the backyard soars over Giddy Park. The backyard is absolutely packed with stuff to do. There are various activities such as the crazy targets, bullseye boat blast, the delivery missions, the soccer field, and not to mention the small quests with the pots and bots scattered around. The game doesn't tell you about pretty much any of these quests, which makes finding them a fun surprise. Battleground has stuff to do, but it's more like the game itself is trying to guide you through everything rather than letting you discover it for yourself. You're going on an on-rails adventure through what Giddy Park has to offer, both figuratively as the game tells you to go to certain locations at certain times for a few coins, and literally because the trolley ride takes you around the carnival along a set path shown by rails on the ground. Like, imagine if you're going to a park. The Garden Warfare 2 approach is if you're able to walk around however you like and check out all of the neat things you can find for yourself. The Battle for Neighborville approach has you going to the park with a tour guide, where they nudge you along a path while telling you about how interested you're supposed to be when experiencing each of the different spots. Make sense? And what secrets are there for you to discover in BFN? The obvious one is the Gnome Shrine, if you would even call that a secret. By performing a gesture on all 6 of the circular stones around the park, you'll receive a message saying, "The gnomes judge you worthy." Once you reach the Gnome Shrine door, it will begin to glow. Now you have to say gnomes in front of it to let you in. Inside the shrine, there are a couple of chests, and then a final puzzle for you to complete to unlock a special nightcap costume. This would be great, if it weren't for the fact that those glowing sparkles give you a damage buff and damage resistance until you enter the shrine. Why? You can argue that Battleground's lack of stuff to do in the hub is because of its PvP as much as you want, but why did the one thing it did offer have to break the PvP so much? From the way the park is built, campers with the gnome buff are able to completely obliterate lobbies by themselves. Brainium Basher's primary does 156 damage. Captain Deadbeard does 123 damage on a charged shot. Grody Goop does over 100 damage now. What fun! The whole dynamic shifts to who can get the gnome power first, and put a stranglehold on the rest of the lobby sheerly by the fact that your stats give you a natural advantage over everyone else. And because all 6 of the spots you need to gesture on are the same, combined with the fact that the map is perfect for spawn camping, It's super easy to track down someone aiming to also get Gnome Power just so they can contest you. Such bad design. Everything else is just cosmetic. There's the garlic balloon, which you can trigger by finding a garlic at Rux's Emporium and interacting with it, which is nice, I guess. The giant piano has a secret button that you can hit that changes all of the piano notes into other random sound effects, which could have been funnier if they chose a better selection of noises instead of most of them being some guy grunting, or not sounding like they came from the piano at all. There's also the dinosaur skeleton Easter egg, which is by far the coolest out of what we have, but it's still just as functionally useful as the garlic balloon. Garden Warfare 2's secrets are intended to reward you for your exploration. For most new players, the main two things they want to do in the backyard is either to see what happens when you enter the other side's base, or what's down in the sewers. The other team's base triggers an alarm that spawns bosses at a rapid pace, allowing you to test your survivability, and you get an achievement for entering the zombie stat room as a plant, and vice versa. The sewer is what has the most fun though. It has the XP fish, which doesn't tell you what it does at first, so it has a mild air of mystery around it, which is super fun. And it's right next to the crazy targets range. You can find the clam, who sends you on a quest to find all the snow globes for a nice reward of 100,000 coins. There's the gnome shrine, which has the ominous 200-star chest in addition to the wall where your golden gnomes are stored. And right next to that is the entrance to the Trials of Gnomus. And no, I'm not including that as part of the hub. If I did, this comparison would go from Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby to Death Star Laser versus Coughing Baby. And yeah, while a lot of these are out in the open, there are also the truly hidden areas. Like, did you know that if you're super perceptive, you can look at this spot and think, huh, I bet I could stand on that pipe. So you switch to a character like Imp that's small and has good maneuverability. And voila, your character can stand there. Feeling proud of yourself for finding that spot, you don't really know if the devs intended for you to be able to go there. So naturally, you look around for another spot that you can leap to and further push the game. And look at that, there's another pipe. You go inside of it and you realize that this was 100% intentional. And right there is a secret treasure trove with 3 chests, containing some backyard items and a bunch of coins. Finding this for the first time is what really made me fall in love with the game. The devs knew their players, and they wanted us to find this love letter to creative thinking and platforming. While it may not seem like much, it captures more than my words ever could. Even if I broaden my horizons to include BFN's PvE regions, it still doesn't have anything close to Garden Warfare 2's Gnome Room. Everything of note you can find there is pinpointed to you if you hand over a little bit of that region's currency. Garden Warfare 2's Backyard Battleground is a bountiful experience of exploration, faithful identity, and when it calls for it, PvP, while Battle for Neighborville made an earnest attempt at those things, but it stumbled at every turn. I know this video sort of reads like a Garden Warfare 2 good, BFN bad type of deal, and I apologize if you really like BFN. However, when looking back at how these are portrayed, it's really no contest. If you have any of your own reasons for why you think the backyard works so well, or even vice versa, please do comment, as I'd love to read them. Thank you so much for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you later!